Good evening and welcome. Tonight I'm going to be reading to you this book about the Bahamas. So let's just dive right in. The Bahamas. Look at this map. This is so neat. This is a great map of all the islands in the Bahamas, but we'll talk about them throughout this book. We're going to read Islands and Cays, Pirates' Paradise, A Tourism-Driven Economy, Urban Islanders and Family Islanders, and Cities and Districts. Here we go. Alright, Islands and Cays. Look at this. Paradise. There is actually a Paradise Island in the Bahamas, so anyway. The nation of the Bahamas is made up of 700 islands and cays lying to the southeast of Florida, bordered on the north and east by the Atlantic Ocean and on the south and west by the Gulf Stream. The Bahamas are not technically part of the Caribbean. New Providence and Grand Bahama are perhaps the best known of the islands that make up the Bahamas. The largest of the islands is Andros, a major bone fishing destination. Both Harbor Island and Eleuthera are famous for their fantastic pink sand beaches. Other large islands include Cat Island, Long Island, Cricket Island, and Mayaguana Island. Several island groups are also part of the Bahamas. Closest to Florida's coast are the Bimini Islands. The Exuma Islands consist of more than 365 cays and islands, totaling 130 square miles. The Abaco Islands are popular with boaters. Lesser-known islands, known as the Out Islands, attract fewer visitors. The coral islands of the Bahamas are all relatively flat. Some have slight rolling hills, but most do not rise much above sea level. The highest point in the Bahamas on Cat Island is Mount Alvernia. It is only 206 feet above sea level. Climate of the islands. Gorgeous. The Bahamas enjoys a tropical maritime climate moderated by the warm waters of the Gulf Stream from December to April, which is winter in the Bahamas. The average temperature throughout the islands is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Evenings are slightly cooler. The temperature on an average Bahamian summer day is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The rainy season in the Bahamas lasts from May to November. The Bahamas experience an average rainfall of 52 inches per year. The islands to the north receive a larger amount of this rainfall than do the islands in the south. February and March are the nation's driest months. Hurricane season in the Bahamas officially runs from June to November, but most hurricanes occur between the months of August and September. On average, 5 hurricanes churn through the Bahamas per year. However, this number can vary greatly from year to year. Plants and animals. The flora of the Bahamas is unique, vibrant, and diverse. There are over 1,370 species of trees and plants on the islands. Native Bahamian plants include the bull vine, the wild grape, several kinds of fig, and bromeliads. Trees include wild tamarind, pigeon plum, and casuarina pine. The government of the Bahamas has set aside land for 12 nationally funded nature parks. These parks protect and preserve such animals as the Abaco parrot, West Indian flamingos, and green turtles, as well as such natural wonders as undersea caves and coral reefs. The fauna of the Bahamas is limited. It includes 12 species of native bats, all of them endangered. The only other land mammal native to the islands is the endangered hutia, a member of the rodent family similar to the guinea pig. Raccoons live in the wild but are not native to the Bahamas. They were brought to the islands during the 1920s by American rum smugglers who kept them as pets. Escaped raccoons prospered. Marine mammals can be seen in the waters surrounding the islands of the Bahamas. Humpback whales pass by the Bahamas as they migrate to their mating grounds. Blue whales are commonly sighted off the shores of the islands as well. Tourists and residents alike enjoy watching the antics of Atlantic bottlenose dolphins and revel in rare sightings of the Atlantic spotted dolphin. The Bahamas are home to 44 species of reptiles and 10 species of snakes. Lizards are abundant throughout the islands. Geckos climb almost everywhere quite easily, while blue-tailed lizards quickly dash to and fro. Vegetarian iguanas munch leafy plants, fruits, and berries on the less inhabited outlying islands and keys. At least 230 species of birds can be seen at various times of the year in the Bahamas. Many of them travel from North America to winter in the tropical maritime climate. Others, like the Bahamas parrot and the woodstar hummingbird, are resident year-round. Pirates' Paradise. There's the big old lighthouse. Recent archaeological evidence suggests that the Bahamas may have been settled as early as the 4th century CE, but little is known about these earliest native inhabitants. In the 9th or 10th century, a group of Arawak Indians known as the Lucayans arrived. The word Lucayans comes from the native term Lukukair, which means island people. These peaceful people may have traveled to the Bahamas in order to avoid conflicts with the Caribs, a cannibalistic tribe that was growing more and more dominant in South America, as well as in many areas of the Caribbean. The Lucayans lived in villages that were organized into clans. Each clan had a chief. The Lucayans ate fish and shellfish. They planted and harvested vegetables such as corn and yams, and they used a starchy plant known as manioc to make bread. Life was relatively easy in the islands, so the Lucayans had time enough to develop various skills and crafts. They became expert weavers, making hammocks and clothing to trade with the residents of neighboring islands. They were also accomplished boat builders and carvers. They learned to make pottery, ropes, and even rugs. Arrival of the Spanish. In early August of 1492, 3 ships under the command of Christopher Columbus departed from Spain on a journey that, Columbus hoped, would take them to the Orient. The lands of the East had goods that Europeans coveted, such as spices and silks, but reaching these faraway trade centers required a dangerous overland journey across Asia, or a long sea voyage south around the western coast of Africa and to the northeast across to the Indian Ocean. Columbus hoped to find an easier, more direct route by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. On the morning of October 12, 1492, more than a month after they had last set foot on dry land, Columbus and several of his top officers waded ashore on a small island that they assumed to be near Cipango, or Japan. In reality, the island was in the Bahamas. Columbus named the island San Salvador, claimed it for Spain, and declared the island's native inhabitants to be subjects of the Spanish king and queen. It was about 500 years since the Lucayans had first settled in the Bahamas. Let me move my cat's butt back up onto my lap before he slides off. There we go. I woke him up anyway. After deciding that the Bahamas contained little of value, the Spaniards removed many of the native Lucayans to work in the gold mines of Hispaniola, a large Caribbean island Columbus had found during his 1492 expedition. Hispaniola is now the site of the present-day nations of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Right here. Within 25 years, the peaceful Lucayans had virtually disappeared, having fallen victim to European diseases to which they had no immunity, overwork, mass executions, and general mistreatment at the hands of the Spanish. Soon the Spanish completely abandoned the Bahamas. Greater riches such as gold and silver were to be found in Central and South America. Many Spanish galleons carrying treasure back to Spain passed through the Bahamas, however, and quite a few foundered in violent storms or were wrecked on the reefs of the treacherous waters. In addition, pirates and adventurers plied the area and preyed on the Spanish treasure ships. England claims the Bahamas. In 1629, King Charles I of England claimed the Bahamas and granted them to an English nobleman, Sir Robert Heath. Nevertheless, the islands remained sparsely populated. In the late 1640s, about 100 English Puritans under the leadership of a man named William Sales arrived in the Bahamas. The Puritans were a Protestant religious group who objected to, and were often persecuted by, the official Church of England. Sales and his followers, who had come from Bermuda, initially landed on the present-day Abaco Island, but the group moved onto Sigatu Island, whose name they changed to Eleuthera, from the Greek word for freedom. Later, they established a settlement on New Providence Island. After weathering some initial difficulties, including the loss of all their provisions and political disagreements, the Puritan settlers established their own independent republic. For the King of England, the fate of a tiny Puritan republic in the Bahamas was of little concern. Wishing to shore up support for the crown in the aftermath of the English Civil War, King Charles II in 1670 granted the Bahamas to 6 noblemen called Lords Proprietors, who had earlier been granted the Carolinas in the present-day American states of North and South Carolina. Charles also helped to send to the Bahamas 300 settlers who pledged loyalty to the monarchy. A lawless place. In 1666, 4 years before Charles's grant of the Bahamas, a settlement named for him had been founded on the island of New Providence. Charlestown soon became a magnet for pirates and outlaws. This was due in part to its fine harbor and in part to the absence of real authority in Charlestown. The noblemen who had received the Bahamas grant did not actually live there, and the governors they sent to administer their lands were weak and ineffective. The city of Charlestown became a rowdy, lawless place, a mecca for thieves, prostitutes, and pirates. In 1684, the Spanish, with whom the British were frequently at war throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, destroyed Charlestown, but the people of the city quickly rebuilt their settlement. For a certain type of person, the Bahamas could provide a good livelihood. Charlestown was home to many salvagers. These men combed the shores for wrecked treasure ships and picked through their remains. Some went a bit further in their quest for easy riches. Called wreckers, they lured ships laden with gold and other treasures onto the rocky reefs by placing lights there. When the unsuspecting captain of a ship passing at night saw one of the lights, he would assume it was a distant lighthouse and that his vessel was at a safe distance from the land. After a ship ran aground, the wreckers would board the vessel and confiscate its cargo by force. In 1695, Charlestown changed its name to Nassau to honor the current King of England, William III. King William III had formerly been the Prince of Orange-Nassau. During this period, England's navy was stretched thin by constant battles with the French and Spanish. As a result, England began to hire privateers, private ship captains licensed by the government, to attack enemy ships and settlements in the Caribbean. When they plundered a Spanish town or preyed on a French ship, the British privateers kept the treasures they collected, making them little different from pirates. In 1701, when the Spanish War of Succession broke out, Spain and France allied against England. Together, the two nations destroyed Nassau in 1703. Once again, however, the resilient community of pirates, privateers, and ne'er-do-wells rose up and rebuilt their city. Now, however, the outlaw population of Nassau demanded officially what they had to a certain extent enjoyed unofficially: independence. They declared Nassau a privateer's republic, and for a time the rowdy city remained a true pirate's paradise, with no functioning government authority. In 1717, however, the King of England officially assumed civil and military authority over the islands, though it would be 70 years before the Lords Proprietors surrendered their rights on the Bahamas to the crown. In 1718, the king appointed a former privateer to the position of royal governor of the islands. Jack, what are you doing? My poor boy. There you go. Woodes Rogers took his post seriously. Governor Rogers coined a motto in Latin that summed up his mission and that would eventually embellish the official seal of the Bahamas: Expulsus Piratis, Restituta Commercia. Pirates expelled, commerce restored. Rogers guaranteed that all pirates who surrendered would receive amnesty. He also promised that those who did not surrender would be treated harshly. Their ships would be sunk, and they, if captured, would be executed. Hundreds of pirates did surrender. Most of the rest perished in battle with the governor's naval forces, were hanged, or fled the Bahamas. The era of the Bahamas pirates had come to a bloody end, and Britain was now firmly in control of the colony. America and the Bahamas. Later in the 18th century, Britain would have more trouble with its overseas colonies, but this time no easy solution would present itself. In April 1775, skirmishes in the Massachusetts colony ignited the American Revolution. The following year, with the War for Independence raging on the American mainland, a force of American patriots seized Nassau. In 1782, a year after the Revolutionary War had ended with the British surrender at Yorktown, Virginia, the Bahamas were surrendered to Spain, but Britain regained control of the islands through a treaty concluded in 1783, and the Bahamas immediately received a new wave of immigrants, Americans who remained loyal to the British Crown. Many of these loyalists who had left the newly independent United States came from North and South Carolina, and many intended to recreate in the Bahamas the cotton plantations they had known in America. As in the American South, a plantation economy in the Bahamas would require abundant slave labor. Many slaveholders from the Carolinas brought their slaves with them to the islands, and in the last 25 years of the 18th century, the islands were a major stopping point in the transatlantic slave trade. African slaves, as well as free blacks, many of whom were themselves slaveholders, soon made up a large proportion of the Bahamas' population. On August 1st, 1834, slavery was abolished throughout the British Caribbean colonies. In the Bahamas, many former slaves became fishermen or subsistence farmers. A minority of white colonists retained control of the political and economic fate of the islands. A significant part of the economic activity in the Bahamas once again came to revolve around less than reputable work. By 1850, Nassau was once again home to a community of wreckers. The English colonial government set up strict laws to govern salvaging, but most of these laws had to do with the splitting of the bounty. The government took an immediate 15% share of all sales of salvaged commodities, and the governor himself collected 10%. With government backing, many wreckers grew bold enough to begin luring ships onto the rocks once more. Still others struck bargains with disloyal seamen who helped to arrange shipwrecks for the purpose of plundering cargo. From 1861 to 1865, during the American Civil War, residents of the Bahamas found another source of income, blockade running. In order to squeeze the Confederacy, or the rebellious Southern states, economically, the Union, with its superior navy, imposed a naval blockade. Foreigners attempting to trade with the South risked having their cargoes confiscated or their ships sunk. In addition to hitting the Confederacy hard, the blockade hurt Great Britain, whose textile industry depended on cotton grown in the American South. Daring Bahamians saw an opportunity to get rich. They outfitted fast boats to make the dangerous 560-mile journey between Nassau and Charleston, South Carolina. They would bring British-made goods into Charleston and carry cotton, which they would trade with the British in Nassau, out. The blockade runners who evaded the Union Navy made enormous sums of money, and the Bahamas prospered. But with the end of the Civil War in 1865, the lucrative business disappeared, and hard times befell the islands. Fortunately for Bahamians, another smuggling opportunity arose in 1919. In that year, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which prohibited the manufacture, transport, and sale of alcoholic beverages, was passed. Demand for alcohol in the United States remained high, however, and those who wanted to take some risks could make huge profits. Nassau became a center for rum runners, as the liquor smugglers were called, and once again the Bahamas enjoyed a measure of prosperity. When the 21st Amendment was passed and prohibition ended in 1933, however, the Bahamas suffered a major economic blow. That blow was made worse several years later by the loss of another important source of income for Bahamians, diving for sponges. In 1938, disease ravaged local sponge beds, and more islanders were cast into poverty. Economic progress. World War II pumped money into the Bahamian economy. The United States signed a lease for a naval base on Mayaguana Island in 1940, and the British maintained an air base on New Providence. After the war, tourists, particularly from the United States and Canada, began to visit the Bahamas in large numbers. American tourism to Cuba ceased shortly after the communist regime of Fidel Castro came to power there in 1959, and many vacationers who previously went to Cuba discovered the Bahamas. The newly established Bahamas Development Board led a massive effort to lure tourists to the islands, and it paid off. By 1968, 1 million tourists had visited the Bahamas. Independence. During the late 1960s, a movement for independence from Great Britain gained momentum in the Bahamas. One of its leaders was a black Bahamian politician named Lyndon Pindling, who in 1953 had helped found the Progressive Liberal Party, or the PLP, to oppose the white colonialist United Bahamian Party. In 1967, Pindling became the premier of the Bahamas colony, and over the next 6 years he steered his homeland toward independence. On July 10, 1973, the islands of the Bahamas officially became the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, an independent country within the British Commonwealth of Nations. Pindling served as Prime Minister of the Bahamas until 1992. During his long career in public service, he was credited with helping to improve educational and economic opportunities for Bahamians. But he was also dogged by allegations of bribery and charges that his government turned a blind eye toward, and perhaps even bankrolled by, Colombian drug lords. Drug trafficking, drug use, and crime in general began to increase in the Bahamas in the 1980s. In 1992, with his popularity undermined by the assorted allegations, Pindling and his Progressive Liberal Party were defeated at the polls by the Conservative Free National Movement, or FNM. FNM leader Hubert A. Ingram became Prime Minister. Ingram was elected to another 5-year term in 1997. In 1999, the islands were hit by 2 particularly devastating hurricanes, Dennis and Floyd. Together, these 2 hurricanes destroyed homes and wreaked havoc on the economy of the Bahamas. In elections held in May 2002, the PLP came to power once again, and Perry Christie replaced Ingram as Prime Minister. Christie has promised to help the poor of the Bahamas and to continue to promote tourism. Speaking of which, a tourism-driven economy. Look at the cruise ship here. Let me adjust my cat again. He's trying to sleep. There we go. He's trying to sleep perpendicularly in my lap, and that's just not the right shape of my lap. You need to sleep horizontally. There you go, buddy. Okay. Chapter 3, Tourism-Driven Economy. The economy of the Bahamas is driven primarily by tourism, but it is supplemented by banking, agriculture, fishing, and manufacturing. The illegal smuggling of cocaine from Colombia into the United States via the Bahamas also pumps millions of dollars into the Bahamian economy. The Bahamian economy is small. In 2001, the country's gross domestic product, or GDP, the total value of goods and services produced annually, stood at only $4.82 billion according to World Bank estimates. But Bahamians enjoy a relatively high standard of living, especially when compared with many of their Caribbean neighbors. For example, the average working-class Bahamian earns 5 times more than a college-educated teacher in Jamaica. In the Bahamas, GDP per capita, or a rough equivalent of average annual income per citizen, was estimated at $14,960. Worldwide, this falls within the high-income range. Tourism and services. The lifeblood of the Bahamian economy is tourism. At least 40% of Bahamians are employed directly by the tourism industry. In 1999, an estimated 3.5 million tourists visited the islands. Cruise ship companies consistently list the Bahamas as one of the premier tourist destinations. The Bahamas is also an important center for international finance and insurance activity. More than 400 banks from over 35 nations do business with, or at least within, the Bahamas. The islands are known as an international tax haven. Because the Bahamas will not allow financial records to be subpoenaed by other governments, many businesses and individuals have used the Commonwealth as a convenient location for hiding money and assets from their own governments. Agriculture and manufacturing. Less than 5% of Bahamians are involved in farming. Small quantities of pineapples are grown on the islands. Citrus fruits and some vegetables are grown in Great Abaco for export to the United States, United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Denmark. Pigeon peas, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, and potatoes are grown commercially in North Andros and sold to those same 4 export partners. Now, you know these shells, I've heard conch and I've heard conch, but I'm going to go with conch. I feel like that's the one I use the most. Conches are caught for local consumption. Fresh fish are a locally consumed food product as well. The major export for the fishing industry is lobster. Beer and rum are manufactured on New Providence. These exports bring in almost $400 million a year. Salt and petrochemicals are also manufactured in the Bahamas for the export market. The pharmaceutical industry contributes a growing share to the country's gross domestic product. Changes for workers. Unemployment, a chronic problem in the Bahamas, decreased dramatically under the government of Prime Minister Hubert A. Ingram. In 1992, the year he took office, unemployment stood at 14.8%. In 2002, it was estimated at below 7%. Ingram's party worked hard to improve conditions for civil servants as well as general laborers. Since 1992, civil servants have received a number of pay increases. In 2000, Ingram and his government also prospered to reduce the work week from 48 to 40 hours for all workers, institute laws requiring equal pay for equal work, and establish a fair and standard minimum wage. My cat's once again falling out of my lap. My goodness, kitty. He's very wiggly tonight. All right, cat is resituated. Chapter 4. Urban Islanders and Family Islanders. They're shopping for some tour shirts. The population of the Bahamas is made up of a mix of races, including blacks, whites, Asians, and Hispanics. In addition to differences in race and ethnicity, Bahamians are divided socially and economically by their status as either urban islanders or family islanders. 85% of Bahamians are black. Most are descended from slaves brought from North and South Carolina after the American Revolution. The ancestors of these slaves were primarily members of the Igbo, Mandingo, or Yoruba tribes, and lived originally in West Africa. Not all blacks who immigrated to the Bahamas came as slaves, however. Some came as freemen. These black freemen often owned their own black slaves. Others were runaway slaves, intent on finding independence and freedom from their colonial captors. Recently, many black Haitians have entered the Bahamas illegally in search of jobs. Bahamians have relegated them to poor-paying manual labor. Haitians are widely resented by the general public. They are looked down upon for many reasons, including their darker skin and shorter stature. White Bahamians, who make up 12% of the population, are primarily of English and Irish descent. Small numbers of Bahamians claim Greek descent. Most are related to divers who arrived in the islands to hunt for sponges and then remained. Other groups of white Bahamians are direct descendants of the pirates and wreckers who inhabited Nassau during its privateers' republic days. Asians and Hispanics together make up about 3% of the population. They are for the most part well integrated into Bahamian society. Urban Islanders. The residents of Nassau and Freeport, the island's 2 largest cities, are primarily professional, upper-middle class, and working-class Bahamians. Here, islanders are employed in the tourism, banking, and service industries. They sport Nike sneakers, Tommy Hilfiger shirts, and Levi's and Calvin Klein jeans, as well as other trendy brand-name shoes and clothing. Recreation for these urban Bahamians is varied. Many love to play and watch games of basketball or soccer. Others enjoy boating and water sports. Some like to barbecue. Still others like dancing. Almost all urban islanders love beauty pageants, and many contests for both men and women are held throughout the year. Family Islanders. The outlying or family islands are home to quite a different breed of Bahamian. The residents of the family islands are, economically speaking, members of the Bahamas' lower class. Most are fishers or subsistence farmers and are much less modern than their city cousins. Many are skilled at weaving straw baskets. The Obeah religion, which is characterized by a belief in sorcery and magic ritual, is widely practiced. The lives of so-called family islanders aren't so hard that they can't find time for recreation, however. They tell folk tales that have been passed down through generations. They lounge in the sun and wade in the ocean. They especially love to celebrate family events such as births and weddings with grand, lively parties. Religion. The Anglican Church, or Church of England, is the official church of the Bahamas. Other Christian denominations include Baptists, Catholics, and Methodists. Men and women dress up for church each Sunday. Wow, that was a hard sentence, apparently. Men and women dress up for church each Sunday. Singing voices echo across the islands, often to the accompaniment of electric guitars, basses, and keyboards, drums, and tambourines. Most Bahamians view church service as more than a weekly religious obligation. For them, it is a social event not to be missed. My cat's falling again. My cat really wants to sleep perpendicular in my lap, but he's stretching out and his butt's falling off. Now he's mad. He might walk across the book in a minute. We'll see. Education in the Bahamas. School attendance is required for Bahamian children between the ages of 5 and 16. Most primary and secondary education in the Bahamas is provided by public schools, though there are some private and parochial schools as well. Primary and secondary schools are well attended. All students in the Bahamas wear school uniforms, and each different school district has its own uniform colors. Public preschools were introduced throughout the nation beginning in the late 1990s. There are 4 schools for higher education in the Bahamas. The government-run College of the Bahamas, which has campuses in Nassau and Freeport, offer courses of study in banking, finance, sciences, arts, and humanities. The University of the West Indies has a regional branch located in Nassau. It is respected throughout the Caribbean for its fine center for hotel and tourism management. Also located in the city are the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute and the Bahamas Hotel Training College, which teaches students the skills necessary to work in the hotel and service industries. The media. The Broadcasting Company of the Bahamas, or BCB, is a government-owned but commercially run broadcasting company. The BCB operates 4 major radio stations and Bahamas Television, which serves Nassau, New Providence, and the Central Bahamas. Bahamians have access to 4 daily newspapers: the Bahamas Journal, the Freeport News, the Nassau Guardian, and the Tribune, and 1 semi-weekly newspaper, the Punch. Reporters have enjoyed great freedom of the press since the government of Hubert Ingram, despite the Commonwealth's strict libel laws. Music. Look at this guy singing. My goodness. Music. Goombay is the most uniquely Bahamian style of music. It is played using a piano or a guitar that is accompanied by a wide variety of percussion instruments, usually handmade goatskin rattles, drums, and maracas, as well as cowbells. The wind instruments of Goombay music are often made from conch shells, though standard flutes and pipes are also common. The word Goombay comes from an African word that means beat or rhythm, and drums form a vital part of the music. Since the days of slavery, Goombay has been played in the Bahamas by so-called rake and scrape bands. The original rake and scrape bands used improvised instruments because slaves could not afford traditional ones. Drums were typically made from goatskin stretched over the top of a pork barrel. To create a distinctive scraping sound, a metal file was run across a carpenter's saw. A wash tub with a string through it that was tied to a long stick functioned as a kind of violin, Today's rake and scrape bands supplement their sound with modern instruments like the electric guitar and the saxophone, but the feel of the old music remains. One other type of Bahamian music deserves mention: religious music. Some hymns that can be heard today at a Bahamian religious service resemble American slave spirituals. Not surprising, since many slaves were brought to the Bahamas from the American South in the late 18th century. Here comes the cat. No? I'm changing your mind? Anyway, gospel, another musical form associated especially with African Americans, is also popular in Bahamian religious services. But then so too are traditional European hymns, a reflection of the diverse influences that have shaped the Bahamian people and their culture. He's really trying to walk across. Go ahead, kitty. If you want to ruin the shot, by all means. You've already made me edit like 20 million times this video. No, he's just gonna sit in my lap. Come here, buddy. No, you're just gonna be grumpy. Okay. Cities and districts. There are two major cities in the Bahamas, Nassau and Freeport. Nassau, the nation's capital, is located on New Providence Island. Home to more than 170,000 residents, it is the largest city in the Bahamas. Nassau was once infamous for its resident pirates and privateers. He did it. I'm so proud of him. Okay. My cat, you guys. Okay, you can't stay there. No one can see anything now. You gotta, okay, he's coming back into the lab. He's gonna stand right there. Okay, why don't we go like this while he figures himself out. Where was I? Located on New Providence Island, home to more than 170,000 residents. It is the largest city in the Bahamas. Look at my cat's tail. He had a stroke 2 years ago, so now his tail does this. Anyway. Nassau was once infamous for its resident pirates and privateers. Today, though, it is a world-recognized financial center. Nassau is also known as a center for money laundering, the moving of cash through a series of transactions designed to conceal the fact that it was made through illegal activities such as drug trafficking. Oh, he's licking my hand. Okay, but you're shaking the camera. That's very sweet of you, but... Okay, kitty, kitty, kitty. I love you very much, but you're shaking the camera. I know. Okay, my hands are going to be over here if you want to lick them. There you go. Okay. Let's go up here then. Freeport, the second largest city in the Bahamas, is located on Grand Bahama Island. Among the city's attractions is the Garden of Groves. Can you see? He's got to look at my other hand now. This is what happens when you have an 18-year-old cat. He's just senile. Okay, kitty cat. Let's go. Come on. This way. This way. This way. Over here. No one can see the words if you stand there. Come on, kitty. Let's move. Just gently pushing him away, and he can lick my hand from over there. Look at. Oh, you can't see from the top down. Anyway, among the city's attractions is the Garden of Groves, which features 5,000 plants and shrubs, and Rand Memorial Nature Center is a great place for visitors and residents of Freeport to get away from it all and take a quiet nature hike. The Commonwealth of the Bahamas is divided into 21 political districts. Below are overviews of a few of these districts. There's Acklands and Crooked Island District. Can you hear him licking my arm? Anyway, this political district is made up of Crooked Island, Acklands Island, Long Island, Samana Key, and Plana Keys. The Bight of Acklands is known for its tarpon, a large bony fish prized by sport fishermen. The Plana Keys are a series of keys whose nature reserves are home to endangered hutias and iguanas. Anyway, the Bimini District. The Bimini Islands, whose population is close to 2,000, There we go. You can look my hand over here. Were made famous by the American writer Ernest Hemingway, who summered there during the 1930s. His novel Islands in the Stream is a semi-autobiographical account of the time he spent in the Biminis. Today, the Bimini district is a favorite haunt of Florida college students on spring break. Ooh. It is also one of the few places in the world where the rare Atlantic spotted dolphin can be seen in the wild. On occasion, lucky visitors even get to swim with these playful sea mammals. Cat Island, where I am right now apparently. This island district has a population of about 1,800. Once known as San Salvador, the island got its present name, locals say, from the infamous pirate Arthur Cat. Some residents of Cat Island still practice slash-and-burn agriculture. Profit against the cat. Many also still practice bush medicine and the African religion Obeah, the Exumas. With a population close to 4,000, the district of Exumas is composed of two main islands, Great Exuma and Little Exuma. In addition, there are a total of 365 keys in this district. Some of these keys have come under government protection and are now known collectively as the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park. There's so much cat hair in the book now. Freeport. The Freeport district includes Grand Bahama Island. Next to Providence Island, it is the most visited island in the Bahamas. 40 acres of this island have been set aside for the Lucayan National Park. The park encompasses natural treasures from both the land and the sea, including mangrove trees and a large underwater cave system. Long Island. The southern cape of Long Island is an excellent area to snorkel and enjoy coral reefs. The town of Stella Maris on Long Island is best known for its great scuba diving and fishing opportunities. The lagoons near McCann's Bay are an excellent destination for bird watchers. Cat, you're shaking the camera again. The cat. Here, come lick my hand over here. Come, or just come back in my lap. That's a great idea. Okay. Bat lovers can visit Cartwright's Caves. There we go. And he's in the lab. Awesome. Marsh Harbor. Named for the largest town in the Abaco Islands, the district is the second largest landmass in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The main island in this district is Abaco Island. Because it is covered with a forest composed of pine trees and shrubs, Abaco Island attracts many birds. The waters surrounding Abaco and the Abaco Keys boast impressive coral reefs. Walker's Key sits along the edge of the Gulf Stream and is famous for its awesome sports fishing. Bird watchers, divers, and fishermen all enjoy this island and its district. New Providence. This district is home to the nation's capital city, Nassau. Here, visitors can enjoy all the modern conveniences of the United States and other large developed nations, while still soaking up the easygoing charm of the Bahamas. Attractions include the straw market, where islanders sell handmade straw goods and wood carvings, and historic Bay Street, which features shops, pubs, and restaurants along its wide brick sidewalks. New Providence's architecture is a mix of Old World and New World elements. A statue of Queen Victoria, England's legendary 19th century monarch, stands watch over Parliament Square. I was right in my last video. It was Queen Victoria. Anyway, this particularly historic part of the city's downtown area includes the nation's legislative and Supreme Court buildings, as well as the Nassau Public Library and Museum. Fort Fincastle, completed in 1793 by the British Royal Governor Lord Dunmore, sits atop a hill east of the government buildings. The fort is shaped like a ship. By contrast, Cable Beach, located a few miles west of Nassau, is home to modern luxury resorts, upscale shops, a golf course, and a large casino. North of Nassau, and connected to the capital by 2 bridges, is Paradise Island. You can see one of the bridges right here, connecting to Paradise Island. A favorite vacation spot of the very wealthy, it is known especially for its posh resorts, glitzy casinos, and scenic golf courses. Of course, Paradise Island also has something that has been drawing tourists to all the Bahamas for more than half a century. Miles of beautiful, sun-kissed beaches and crystal clear water. And that's the end of our book. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video relaxing. And I hope you found this educational. I hope you found it cute too. I think my cat's wonderful. Thank you again and have a very good night. Good night.